So the wood personality is ambitious. Think of an explorer, someone who's confident, self-driven, generous. And this doesn't mean that those of us who are not this way in our personality do not have wood qualities. We all have these qualities of all of the phases within us. Sometimes they come out more in certain situations, in certain relationships, certain experiences than in other times. So always think of yourself in relation to what is being covered, and consider how you are. Ask yourself questions all the time. Is that me, or when is it me? And if you're saying, oh no, that's never me, why is that never you? What is the reason that, so let's say for example, you don't find yourself to be adventurous or like an explorer or confident in any area of life. Why is that? Because then that means that there is a deficiency in this area of the wood phase specifically. And one would want to get to the root of that to find out how one can balance that. Remember, it's all about creating balance within each of the phases. And when we have a balance in each of the phases, then we can have a balance within each of the meridians. And when we have a balance in all of the meridians and all of the phases, well, that is when our whole life can be balanced. And just when we've got that right, something will come to challenge so that we can grow even further and practice getting back into balance again. So wood personality can turn shadow-like when there is frustration. So when a goal cannot be achieved, when there is blockage after blockage, and this doesn't have to be external, it can be internal. It can be very much on a physical level, it can be emotional, it can be physically in the body, it can be physically in one's environment. So think in all areas of life with regard to these qualities. So when we're not able to achieve or do or grow or expand, and that frustration builds up, if that frustration is not checked and dealt with, that can turn to anger, that can turn to rage. Anger, of course, is not a bad thing. None of the emotions are. They are all messages for us. And if we get the message, then it's good news, because then we can do something with that message if we choose to. If we don't get the message, and if we don't choose to do something about the message, that's when a problem can arise, because then this can start to fester, and then we turn the anger that we are holding into something that becomes unforgivable. And so we start moving in now into emotions in the next phase, and then we go into bitterness in the next phase, and then hopelessness, despair, depression in the next phase. So very important to understand. It's very easy to look at it emotionally, but to understand that it can happen in that way for our physical body, spiritual body, in relationships, in work, in finance. So get the message, get the memo, and deal with it. Bring it back into balance. When you bring it back into balance and harmony, then you have used the fuel of anger in a positive way. It has not used you. If you're feeling signs of stress, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, this is a first little red flag of, I need to consider my liver meridian. But when we get these messages, the liver meridian is a beautifully powerful meridian, and this phase, the wood phase, is so helpful in life because this is the time of transformation. So again, thinking of that seed that has been sitting dormant for so long, and all it needs is the right home, sunlight, water, and it can do its job. And there it comes and pushes through and develops into something so magnificent, so large and powerful. So that transformational process is a very powerful process. So when, again, just going back to anger, when we've got to the point of anger, it's often a sign that somewhere in our life transformation is calling us and that we're actually ready for it. Remember that at the root of all our physical conditions are emotions. It's never one, it's a range of different colors. And often just by looking at and considering the emotion involved, that self-awareness really is a huge game changer, because self-awareness, you're activating connection between subconscious and conscious hemispheres of the brain. That communication that starts taking place that wasn't there on that level before creates impulses and charges, positive, negative charges in the brain, which filter into the bloodstream, affecting every single cell in the body. So that's the power of self-awareness. So even in times of being extremely physically unwell, one can still be in a state where, let's say, you can't move for a long period of time. What you can do for yourself is look at your thoughts. Notice your thoughts. Become self-aware. Become aware of what's going on in the body. Even if there's no strength to even try and change them, just that awareness is big enough for the brain and the brain-body connection to start doing the work of change on its own. Remember that our bodies are designed to self-heal with that innate wisdom and intelligence that we have within us.